sugarcoat, life's already a bumpy road. Too much shelter causes pain. Let's just be real honest. Things are gonna knock you down. Avoidance will not help you out. Let's talk it through here. Keep it real honest. Hi, hello, good evening, morning, noontime, whatever it is, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Real Honest, the podcast where I share candid thoughts and feelings about life, love, and relationships, God and church, adulting, the workplace, and everything in between. I'm your host, Samantha Labat, and you may not always like me, but I'll always be honest with you. Today's goals check-in, what I'm learning from God, are going to be like a merged opening segment along with a listener question because it kind of all intertwines. So the listener question was, in today's world, it can be discouraging for some to quit altogether and never try again. But to those that do try and try but never reach their goal, should we still try or venture elsewhere? This is something I think about a lot, to be honest, because it always bothered me growing up when people would say, like, you can do whatever you put your mind to, like, you can do anything, because realistically, anyone cannot do anything. Like, if I decided tomorrow that I wanted to be an Olympic gymnast, I don't think that the lack of exercise that my body has had in my 30 years of life would be able to handle the strict regimen that training for the Olympics would. Also, I don't know if there's like an age limit on the Olympics or anything like that, but I think that ship has sailed for me. Like, I feel like there are some things that you kind of have to start when you're young and really, really work at it. And it's not all things, like, I still want to be an actor, and there are people that decide to be actors when they're 70. Like, there are roles for people of all ages. That's not something that necessarily requires the body to do certain things. So, there's a lot of athletes that go pro and then get injured and then their career is over. And it's like, well, if your injury is so bad that you can't play anymore, you need a new dream or a new goal or to be pursuing something else. Like, there's not a way to get around that. So I definitely have encountered like being told that it's just because I don't want it bad enough, or I can't see it, or I don't believe it, and I don't have faith. And that's the thing that's really holding me back. And I think that that's true in a certain capacity and certain places in life. But I also think that there are places where we have actual physical limitations and we should move on. So in terms of like my goals check-in, right? I'm working on my novel. I have not made any progress since I released my last episode. I just haven't had time. I'm so insanely tired. There's just a lot going on, and I have not had the time to work on my book. But that leading into what I'm learning from God right now is my church is currently doing this study Pastor Stephen wrote called Do the New You. And so he wrote this book, and then his wife Holly made a study out of it for the e-groups, and then he's also doing a sermon series that aligns with it. And so Do the New You is 6 mindsets to learn how to become the new you, which is the you that God knew before you were born, like the person that God envisions you to be. And so the first mindset is I'm not stuck unless I stop, which essentially just means if you don't quit, you're not stuck. So I just apply that to my book in terms of like, I haven't quit writing my book. Like, I haven't given up. I just haven't made progress in the last week. And that's okay. Like, progress doesn't have to be 30 minutes of writing every day. It doesn't have to be one chapter a month. I would love for it to be that. That would be great. God, if you would give me some time, because I really want to get back to my one chapter a month. I only succeeded 1 out of 2 months so far this year. I'm at 50%. I'm failing, which makes me very sad and anxious. But I definitely have not given up on my dream of finishing this book. I have every faith and every belief that I will finish it. So I think that's how I know that I'm not stuck there. I feel like something like, I don't know, maybe previous jobs could be a good example. Like whenever I've quit a job because I felt like my growth had ended, like there was no more growing that I could do at the job. There was nothing left that the company was offering me. I didn't want to keep offering what I was offering to the company for what I was being paid. Like in those situations, I felt like I'm stuck. It's not getting better. I've tried everything that I have tried to improve the situation, and like now it's time to move on. So back to the question. I mean, I don't think that anybody should ever give up on a dream that's still very much alive. You know, like I think if you want to be amazing at something, like writing, singing, driving, like I don't know, like if there's some skill that you want to master, I think that you should do everything in your power to master that skill. I think that these are the things that keep you up at night. Like a couple nights ago, I was up until 3 o'clock in the morning writing song lyrics because I had a fight with a good friend and I don't think we're friends anymore. And I was really sad about it. And I could not fall asleep. Like I just kept thinking about everything that I wanted to say to him and everything that I was feeling. And it was just flowing out of me that I will turn into songs later and play for you guys. But you know, it's that kind of stuff. Like that's how my book is for me. Like even when I don't have time to work on it, I'm always thinking about it. I'm always dreaming of different things that I can add to it. Whenever I read books or I watch TV or movies or even experience things in life, like I get ideas for characters and plot lines. I'm always like, that's going to go in my book. Like, so I think that when it comes to quitting something, I think you should quit the things that you either like completely have no ability to work on it at all, or things that you don't love anymore. But if you still love it and you still want to do it, like if I really wanted to be an Olympic gymnast, I think it would be about changing the dream. Like I think it would be like, all right, maybe I'm not going to win the Olympics, but maybe I'm going to find a gym and I'm going to find an instructor who will work with adults that are starting gymnastics at 30. And I'm going to put in the time and the effort and I'm going to be in the gym every day and I'm going to learn how to do a back handspring and I'm going to stretch and I'm going to figure out how to do the splits. And the dream will be less about the Olympics and more about me gaining the skill. So I think that happens more often where you just need to find a way to shift the dream. Like with my book, sure, the ultimate goal is that it gets published one day and people read it and people like it. But if nobody ever reads my book but me and my sister and my 2 friends that are reading the chapters this year, honestly, that's fine with me because one of them really loves the book. Like her comments are the best and I love reading her comments. Like I love that she loves my characters. That's fun to me. It's kind of like when I write music, like the fact that I can write and produce music on GarageBand in my own home and I can send it to a friend or a man that upset me and get feedback, like that's fun for me. So I am like, maybe I don't put it on Apple Music and get feedback from 1,000 people, but like sending it to the one person and getting feedback from that one person, like that's enough for me. So I really think it's more about shifting the goal. But, you know, sometimes you have a dream and then it stops being a dream. Like for me, it's marriage. You know, when I was a little girl, I dreamed of getting married. It was going to be huge. It was going to be televised. I was going to wear a glitter princess dress and a tiara. And I no longer dream of marriage because I've spent a lot of time just kind of soul searching and thinking. And I've realized that it was never marriage that I dreamt of. It was a wedding. Like I wanted a wedding. Like I want a man professing his love to me in front of the world and getting down on one knee, and I want the engagement photo shoot and splashed all over social media, people telling me how beautiful I look and how amazing it is and how in love we are and how great we are. Like that's what I want. That's not marriage. Like that's pictures and that's a party. And I can have a party without a fiance and I can take pictures whenever I want. So I think it's more like truly aligning like what actually is the goal, what actually is the dream, like what is the thing that you actually desire, and then what steps can you take to get there. And so then the other half of the question is like, you know, the people that try to reach their goal, like, should they still try or venture elsewhere? Same thing, you know, if you still have the goal, then yeah, keep trying. Try different ways. You know, there are a million ways to get somewhere. A lot of people say that a good thing to do is find people who are doing what you want to do and ask them how they got there. And so that's something that I spend a lot of time doing, is just watching a lot of interviews of actors and directors and writers and just learning their stories. And the biggest thing that I picked up is there's no path to get there. Like everyone has a different story. Everybody has a different path. And that's really inspiring to me because I'm like, I don't have to be doing what any of those people were doing because it could be totally different for me. So I think that if you are trying the same thing over and over again, like if you've been in the same job for 10 years and you've been consistently asking for a raise and not getting it, and you've been consistently putting in more work and not being recognized, then I think you try something else. You know, you try looking for another job, you try moving to another area of the company, you try to get creative and come up with ideas because what you're doing is not working. But I think also, you know, to say that you keep trying and are never reaching your goal, also like, what's your goal? Like if your goal is to learn the flute really well, do you know the flute better today than you did a month ago? Because then you are making progress. So I think it's also the kind of thing where you just have to pause and consider, like, am I not reaching my goal because it doesn't look like the way I envision it? Or am I not reaching my goal because progress is slower than I want it to be? And if progress is slower than you want it to be, then just keep going and try to level set your expectations. But if it's because your vision isn't being realized, then I think it's more about changing your vision and fully defining and understanding what your vision even is, so that you know if it's something that you want to keep pursuing. So the thing I want to talk about today is, why are so many people out here feeling like they don't have any friends? With all of the people in the world and all of us seeing so many people on a regular basis, like why are we all, I shouldn't say we all, but why are so many of us feeling this way? You know, I went to a bridal shower this weekend and the bride cried because she was like, you know, I really don't have a whole lot of friends, and it's like such a blessing to see so many people here. And I was like, how can a girl like her not have friends? She is amazing. She's gorgeous. She's hilarious. She's smart. She's just fun to be around. And I'm like, wow, it really sucks that she feels like she doesn't have friends. And then like a guy at seminary took his life last week, and I am just, you know, all of these people are having so many conversations about like, we all loved him, like he was the best, like why would he do that? And it's like, well, clearly he didn't feel what we thought we were giving him, and I shouldn't say we because I didn't know him well, but it led to a deeper conversation with a group of people at seminary where people were saying, like, I don't understand why anybody would ever take their own life. And I was like, I understand. Like, I've been there a lot. I've wanted to frequently. I still think about it frequently. Like, I absolutely feel like I know what he was feeling or thinking, at least to some degree. And so they were asking me, like, well, okay, well, what is it that helps you in those moments? Like, you know, you always hear those stories of people saying, like, you know, I was going to do something and then somebody smiled at me and it just made my day and I changed my mind. And I told them, like, I think it's detrimental to spend time trying to spend time worrying about what would have been, what could have been, what should have been, to sit here and say, like, what if I did this? What if I did that? Because at the end of the day, what happened, and we can't change it. And for every story where somebody says, like, someone smiled at me and it turned my whole day around, there's also a story of somebody who got smiled at and it didn't turn their day around because they were smiled at by the wrong person. And that was kind of the conversation that the room shifted into, because I was in this room full of people where they were all like, let's be here for each other, like, let's support each other. And I was like, you know, it sounds really good in theory to tell people, like, I'm always here for you. Call me when you're in distress. Call me when you're hurting. I will show up. But if you're not the right person to show up, then it doesn't matter. And I feel like what I have experienced so often in my life is that the people that are totally down to show up for me whenever don't say what I need them to say. They don't make me feel what I need to feel. And then it's the people that I'm down to show up for whenever, you know, they're like, couldn't care less if I'm there. Like, I'm not the person for them. And I just think it's so sad, because it's like, how do we find our people? Like really, where are they and how do we find them and how do we get on the same page and what do we do? Because it's so exhausting. Like, I just feel like the world is so hard to live in if you don't have your people. And then it's like we all have a different criteria of what we need and what we want. And I've found myself the past week just getting so irritated with everyone. And I've been trying to figure out what it is. Like, I'm trying to put my finger on it of, like, why am I so bothered by every time somebody asks me a question? And the realization that I came to is that the questions that people are asking me are proving to me that they don't know me. And that makes me really sad, because what I crave more than anything in this world is to be seen and known and loved. And I feel that way so rarely. And it's just like a gut punch every time somebody says something that makes me feel like they don't know me. And I'm just like, I am an open book. Like, I'm sitting here sharing my life on my podcast. I share my life on Instagram. Like, if you talk to me for 5 minutes, I feel like you know me. But then clearly not, because I have so many people in my life that just repeatedly, like, prove that they don't know me. So then I'm like, what else can I do? Like, what more can I share? How much more open can I be? But I'm going to try to give you guys some examples of this, which this is really me just processing through it out loud myself. So bear with me here. So I will give you like a stupid example and a deep example when it comes to my sister. So the other day, my sister asked me, did you know that Ariana Grande has a new album out? And like, I'm sitting there thinking, yes, obviously, duh. I have been waiting for that album for years. I have had it on my calendar since the day she announced it. Like, but clearly, you don't know how much I love Ariana Grande. because you're asking me this question. Like the fact that the album was released today and you're asking me today if it exists implies that you don't know that I've been waiting for it for years, or that I've had it on my calendar for months, or that I blocked off time today to listen to it. I've already listened to it 6 times. And I feel like if you know me, you should assume that. Like, it should have been, what do you think of Ariana's new album? And not, do you know that Ariana released a new album? But then I have to pull it back and think like, okay, my Instagram algorithm is all music, movies, and TV. So like when I scroll through Instagram, all I'm seeing is my favorite artists and celebrities promoting their music and promoting their movies and promoting their TV shows. And as soon as something has a release date, I put it on my calendar and I'm counting down the days because I cannot wait. Like I just love music and I love movies. And my sister's algorithm is not that. Like I don't know what hers shows her, but it's very different from mine. So I can't assume that just because my algorithm is serving me Ariana Grande 24/7, that hers would be doing the same thing, because she doesn't click on the same things as me. She doesn't watch the same things as me. But I feel like I'm not expecting her to have a similar algorithm to me. Like I'm not expecting her to know that the album was out because I knew, but I'm expecting her to know that I knew long before the release day. And it's just, at the bridal shower, we played this game where they were playing clips of music and you had to write down the song title and the artist. And so Cuff It came on and I couldn't remember the name of it. So I texted Cameron because I didn't want to cheat by Googling it or Shazamming it. So I was like, I'm going to phone a friend. And if the friend answers me in the 2 minutes that we're playing this game, then I'll have the answer. And if not, then I don't get the point. And so I texted Cameron because I know that he loves Beyonce and he would know the title of any of her songs. And it was just one of those things that it's because I know him well, and I just wish that I was known that well. So then my more deep example is I kind of mentioned it earlier, I had a fight with a very good friend, or who I thought was a very good friend. But basically I know this guy that I've been friends with for a very long time, and we've always been very close. And he used to be in love with me, and thought he got over it, and we were hanging out and we kissed, but then he spent the rest of the night pressuring me to sleep with him. And this has happened to me so many times with so many men, where I am sitting in front of them saying, I do not want to have sex with you, please stop trying to touch me, please get away from me. And they're like, oh, you want me, I know you want to be with me. I'm like, I really don't. Get away from, how is that unclear? Please explain to me, how is a woman sitting here looking you in the eye saying, I do not want to have sex with you? How is that confusing? How is that hard? And I've had this conversation with this guy so many times. He is the person that I have called so many times to say oh my God, this happened to me again. And he's always I'm so sorry, men are so shitty. And he's always just been a good friend. So for him to be that person was very off-putting to me. And now I'm well, great. I feel I've already lost a couple of friends this year, and now I've lost another one. And it's just so infuriating. It's why does this have to keep happening? And so I told my sister about this experience, and which I'm just going to preface this by I'm not giving more details about the situation because too many of you know him. So I'm not dealing with it. But so just know that you have very, very, very few details. So don't irritate me with your opinions. But so my sister's response was, why did you kiss him? And I'm just like, are we really gonna focus on the minuscule, stupid thing that I did over the monumental, inappropriate thing that he did? Like, seriously? And I felt like her immediate response was to criticize me and to make it my fault, and was like, well, what role did you play in this? Which, like, I'm not denying that I played a role in it, right? Like, I was there. But I feel like in the moment, like, I needed support, and the fact that, like, my sister doesn't know me well enough to know that I need support and to know how to support me is, like, why I don't go to my sister. It's like why I don't go to my sister with this stuff. I go to my friends. I go to very specific friends that know how to be supportive, and how to, the very first thing you say is, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Like, I can't even, are you okay? Do you need anything? I was so, like, pissed off at my sister for asking that. But now I've been thinking about it for a few days, and I'm like, well, she doesn't even have all the context. Like, for all she knows, this is just some random guy that I know. Like, I don't think she has any idea what our relationship was, like, prior to that happening. Like, I don't know that she knows how long we've been friends, or how close of friends we were, or how often we talked, or what we talked about, because I never shared any of that with her. So, like, my friends that did show, like, genuine concern, you know, it's because, like, they've been, like, listening to me talk about him for years and just share about our friendship and how supportive he is and how great he is. And, like, just leading up into the night that I saw him, like, I had all of these other friends that I was sharing, like, you know, like, what do we think about, what if this happens? Like, what if this happens? Like, what do we think about that? Are we opening this door? Are we keeping it closed? Like, you know, so it's also on me that there are people that have been along for the ride every step of the way, that see it differently than, like, for my sister, it's like she's just kind of hearing this story, and she's only using the details that she has, because those are the only details that I give. But I also feel like if she knew me, then she would know why I kissed him. It's like, why does anyone kiss anyone? Like, really? And so I think that's the kind of thing that just, like, I don't know. I feel like, I know I've talked about this before, but I feel like I really go to bat for my friends in a way that people don't for me. You know, right now, I am planning my birthday trip to Disney that's in a couple weeks, and it has been such a headache to plan because these girls just won't respond to me. Like, they just ignore my emails and they ignore the group chat. And it's like, yesterday somebody responded to an email that I sent them in January, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, I didn't even ask you to do something that was hard. It takes 45 seconds to create your account on the Disney website. And if you have Hulu or Disney Plus or whatever, you already have an account. So then it takes 0 seconds, and you log in and you make your park reservation for this park for that day and this park for that day. Like, it's like I laid it out step by step in the email, and everybody just ignored me. Like, half the girls haven't even booked their flights yet, and I am just like, it's Tuesday. We're leaving next Friday. Like, seriously? And it's just like, I've had to do everything for them. Like, I've had to make all of the reservations. And, like, typically when I go to Disney, I do make the reservation because I have a Disney travel agent that I use. And I do everything through her, which I also did this trip as well. But it was just like, typically when I go to Disney, it's like me and the friends that are going, we're all on one package. So it's a super easy, like, this many days on the resort, this many days in the park. And so this trip, like I had so many people that didn't want to go or couldn't go because of the cost of Disney. And so they were just constantly asking, like, can you make it any cheaper? Can you make it any cheaper? Can you make it any cheaper? So I just went to the travel agent and was like, what is the absolute cheapest way to Disney? And so I ended up like, I'm there longer than my friends are. And so I like had to put them in a different hotel, and have them like there less days so that it's, so I can work with all of their budgets. And it's not that I mind doing that, but at this point it's like, now I have my own package and you have your own package and you're an adult. So like, you need to feel like, I've got people asking me like, did you book a shuttle from the airport? And I'm like, yeah, for me and my mom, because me and my mom are traveling together and we are on the same package and we're getting in on a different day and we're leaving on a different day. So like, I'm not booking your shuttle from the airport. Like, you're an adult, you know how to book things, you know how to travel. Like, what do you like, why do you have me doing all of this for you? And like, it's my birthday. You know, it's like, it's my birthday. Like, I want to relax and I just want to be celebrated. I want to just be loved on. And I can't do that because I'm having to hold a bunch of hands and people are just refusing to cooperate. So I like on my birthday, I made a reservation for breakfast at 7 because the park opens at 8 and I am rope dropping. Like, I just don't know how many other languages I can say this in. And so half the girls were like, oh, we're not morning people. Like, we get up at noon. And I am like, okay, cool. So you're just not going to come to my birthday breakfast? And they're like, no. And, you know, and it's not even like, at the end of the day, I don't want to force anyone to do something they don't want to do. Like, okay, totally understand that 7 a.m. is early. Okay. I'm not like, I get that. But at the same time, it's like one of these girls, like I went to her wedding a couple years ago. And I was absolutely miserable because I had to fly to Atlanta. I had to get a hotel. The hotel was like an hour and 15-minute Uber from the airport. So then it's this absurdly long and expensive Uber. And then the invitation said that the ceremony started at 3. So I get to the wedding venue at 2:45. And then the ceremony doesn't start until like 6:45. And then the reception doesn't start until like 8 something. By the time, like, I legitimately almost passed out during her ceremony because I hadn't eaten because I thought I was going to get food at like 5 and I ended up not getting food until like 8:30, and it was in a really hot room, and so I was just like sweating and overheating and I got lightheaded and I was like legitimately concerned that I was going to pass out. But I didn't complain about it because I was like, I'm not here for me. This is her wedding. It's her day. And if she doesn't get married until 2 a.m. and doesn't have the reception until 7 a.m. tomorrow, like, hopefully I'm not passed out on the floor, but if I'm awake, I'm going to be there and I'm going to cheer her on and I'm going to give her a hug and I'm going to wish her well because this is her day and I am not going to take away from it by complaining about what's going on with me. You know, and it's just like, it's the same stuff where like, I have friends that love the club and love getting wasted and I hate that, you know, but it's like, if it's your birthday, yeah, I'll go to Dallas for the weekend and spend a few hours in a club and have a couple drinks and, you know, it's like I'm screaming internally because I'm so uncomfortable, but it's not about me. It's about you, and I love you and I want you to have a good time. And that's why I'm there, is to make sure you have a good time. And so it's just like I was trying to like talk to them about this, where I was just like, clearly I can't force anyone to wake up. I'm aware that 7 is early. I'm not going to make you come, but it does bother me that you won't. Because I have a friend that lives in Burbank and she's going to get up at 5:30 and drive to meet me for breakfast at 7. And like, you can't get up 5 minutes from the resort and walk over. You know, and like one of them said something to me about like not being physically able to eat at a certain time, which doesn't make any sense to me because I'm just like, if I know that I'm going to eat breakfast early, I would just eat dinner earlier and go to sleep earlier so that I'm hungry earlier. It's the same as like my sisters take me to the melting pot for my birthday every year. And the melting pot is a 4-course meal. And so every time I go to the melting pot, I fast the whole day. And so like they just took me on Friday. So I think like I woke up at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I had a bagel and that was all that I ate until we went to dinner at, I think we went at 5:45, 6. And I was like very hungry and lightheaded the whole day, but I was like, I gotta have room when I get to the melting pot because I really want to enjoy that. And so, it's not even, I think it's just the fact that none of this was offered, because like I was talking to another friend about it and he was like, well, shit, if I was going, like, I don't want to eat breakfast at 7, but I mean, if that's what you're doing and it's your birthday, like I would get up and go and I would just say like, hey, I'm probably not going to be hungry until closer to 9. So I'm not going to eat. Like, I'm just going to come hang out and I'll eat later at the park. And I'd be like, yeah, cool. And it's like, you guys, it's one day. It's one day and I am just like, can I just be celebrated? Like, can I have somebody plan my day? Can I have somebody love on me? Like you're sitting here listening to me complain every day about how I have to project manage everything. I'm literally a project manager at work. I'm a project manager at church. I'm a project manager for my sorority. I had to project manage my dad's retirement party. Like, all I do is answer people's questions and schedule things and make lists. And you hear me talk about how it drives me insane and I'm tired of doing it. And yet you make me do this for my birthday too. Like, not a single person was like, can I talk to the travel agent? Can I make the park reservations? Hey, what can I take off your plate so that this isn't stressful for you? Like, this is your birthday. I want you to have fun. Nobody has said that to me. And I'm just at the point where like, I don't even want to go anymore. Like, I'm so mad and I'm so frustrated and I feel so unloved that I'm just like, what's even the point? Why am I even doing this except for the fact that I already paid for it? It's too late to get a refund. So I'm just like, I feel like I don't know. I like don't want to try anymore. Like, I feel like you know what the drug addict used to say to me? That's terrible. I should not call him the drug addict. Let me not speak that into existence. You know what the last man that I fell in love with used to say to me? I miss him because he just was so good at communicating his emotions. But like, he would just be straight up with me where like, if I would like text him or call him and like want to talk about something and he'd be like, hey, I'm not really in the like headspace to do a lot right now, so if this gets hard, I'm just gonna stop responding, and like it's not you, like I just can't do it right now. And like, so many people are like, oh my gosh, he's so rude, he's terrible, but like, I appreciate that transparency, because I wish that I was like that. Like, I wish that I could say, this is getting hard, I don't want to do it. Get away from me, but like, I don't ever do that. I just take it. Like, I just let it be hard and I just take on the stress and I just use the energy and I just get mad and like, it's not serving me. And I just like, I feel like I am going out of my way to try to make other people feel loved and like show that I know them and that I care about them, but maybe it's not doing that, like maybe the girl whose wedding I suffered at, like maybe she doesn't care that I was even there. Like, maybe she doesn't care that I was, I mean, she doesn't know that I was so uncomfortable the whole time. I never like had that conversation with her, but maybe if she heard it, like maybe she'd be like, I would never want you. Cause I'm like, I would never want somebody to be uncomfortable for me. Like, I would, and that's part of why, because my sister did ask me, she's like, when you took Cameron, Ryan, and Cece to Disney for your birthday a couple of years back, like, that was the absolute best week of your entire life. Like, why don't you just ask them again? And I haven't, because Ryan was sick the whole week, so he was kind of miserable. And Cameron, like, he just doesn't love Disney, And it's like, I don't want to say they were suffering, because I do think that they had fun. But I know what they like to do with their money, and Disney's not it. So I'm just like, I don't want to take their money to do that when, like, yes, I love Disney, but I love Cameron and Ryan more. and like I just want to be with them. So I am just like, yeah, I can ask them to go on another trip to Disney, or I can ask them to give me their guest room for a weekend and I can go to Dallas and just be with them. And then we're all having an amazing time. And Cece will totally go to Disney with me. Like, she's the best. She loves Disney. She's like absolute the ultimate Disney companion. I think for this trip, I'm like uncomfortable when I go on trips with people where like I don't know any of the other people. So since I invited so many people this time, like I was inviting all people that know each other so that at least nobody has to like really awkwardly be like, oh, I don't know anyone. I don't know. Like, I just feel so neglected. And like, this is what I was telling the group at seminary when we were talking about the guy, was just like, I feel like I carry all of my relationships. Like, I feel like I'm starting all of the conversations. I'm carrying all the conversations. I'm asking all the questions. And if I just stop, like, if I just take some time and I say, like, for the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to start a single conversation. And if all somebody says to me is like, hi, how's the weather, or gives me a play-by-play of their day, like someone no-showed a meeting and I don't respond to shit like that. Like, I'm not responding to anything unless somebody actually like shows genuine interest in me as a person. I'm just not gonna respond. And every time I do that is when I get really depressed, because it's a really quiet 2 weeks. And that's when I sit here and I'm like, I don't have any friends. I don't have any friends and nobody loves me. And the only way that I can pretend I have friends is if I keep reaching out and keep doing everything for everyone, because no one's ever going to do anything for me. And that just doesn't make me feel good. I don't enjoy being offended by questions, but I also like, I feel like I am very thoughtful when I ask people questions. Like, I think about like, what are the words that I'm using and how are they going to be received by the person on the other end of this? For example, like one of my sisters, before she went to therapy, like took pretty much everything I said as an accusation. So for example, like, when she was still going to my parents' church, I asked her, like, do you like going to church there? Are you getting spiritually fed there? And I was asking those questions because I was genuinely curious. But because of the critical nature of my family, when we ask each other questions, it feels accusatory. So when I said, do you like going to church there? She heard, because you shouldn't. And when I asked her, are you spiritually fed there? She heard, because you can't be. And if you say that you're spiritually fed there, you're lying or you're stupid, or, and like, that's how I feel when my sisters talk to me a lot. That's how I feel when my parents talk to me, because I just grew up in a very critical household. But it's like, now, once I knew that that's what she was hearing, I learned to be much more careful about what I say to her and how I say it. I know that like my sisters, for example, they hold mine and my parents' opinions in very high esteem. They put a lot of value on our opinions. So like one of my sisters, like she might say, like if I make a comment about like her dress being ugly, she would never wear it again. So like if she's, I don't know, like at the mall with friends or whatever, and she Snapchats me a picture and is like, what do you think of this? If I hate it, I won't lie, but I won't tell her what I think of it. I'll say, what do you think of it? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel pretty? Do you like how it fits? And I just kind of figure out like, what is it that she needs right now? Like, what does she need to feel? What does she want to feel? What is she really looking for here? And my mom is always like, well, no, it's an ugly dress. She shouldn't buy it. And I am like, if she likes it, she should buy it. Like, if you think the dress is ugly and I think the dress is ugly, but she thinks the dress is pretty, then it doesn't matter. Like, it's not a fact that the dress is ugly or pretty. That's subjective. Like, the wearer of the outfit is the only one that has to like it. So I feel like if she's asking me what I think of the dress or if it looks okay on her, I feel like she's asking out of an insecurity. Like, if someone's saying like, does this look okay? It's because they think it doesn't. So I start asking questions to get to the root of that, of like, well, do you feel like it's too tight? Do you feel like it's too loose? Do you feel like it hangs weird? Is it accentuating a part of your body that you want minimized? Like what's going on here? Like, what is it that would make it look good to you? And I think that, I mean, partially it's because I've been in therapy so long and this is what my therapist does for me. But that's what I find really, really helpful, is just like asking people questions that get like to the root of the issue. And I think like many episodes ago, I talked about like asking your friends for what they need. I'm pretty sure that I said in that episode, like, I think if you have to ask, there's a problem. Right? Because I have never asked Cameron what he needs from me as a friend. It actually would be interesting to call him right now and ask, like, what do I do for you as a friend? If I had to guess, I think that I'm very supportive. Like, Cameron knows that I will answer the phone whenever he calls, no matter what I am doing. Like, I will run out of a meeting so fast to make sure that man is alive. So I think I offer reliability. I definitely offer love. Like, I think Cameron is very aware that I love him to an absurd degree that makes people uncomfortable. But I think I know that he feels loved by me. Like, I think, if someone points to Samantha and is like, does she love you? He's like, yes. Like, she loves me a lot and she loves me well. And I think I also offer entertainment. I think that Cameron finds me really funny and he really likes listening to stories that I tell. He also, like, I offer support. Like, I always cheer him on in whatever he wants to do. And I think that I honestly could not say like if those are things that he needs from me versus things that he wants or things that he's happy to have but doesn't care about. That I don't really know. But I would say like the main need that Cameron fills for me is loving me by giving me time. Like, I feel like Cameron knows that I want his time. And he's very intentional with it. Like, if I call him when he's doing something else, like, he'll text me and be like, hey, Ryan and I are out. Like, are you okay? Do you need me right now? Or can I get back to you later? Like, he's really, really good about that. And he will, like, he'll watch, like, hour-long Snap stories that I send him. And then he'll respond to, like, every single like thing that I was talking about in the Snap story. And that makes me feel really good because I'm like, he paid attention. Like, I was talking for an hour and he paid attention to everything that I said. Whereas I feel like a lot of people, I will send a 5-minute voice note and they will respond proving to me that they like sped it up as fast as it could so they missed things, or that they put the phone and were walking down because they respond asking me questions that I already answered in the voice note. And so I'm just like, okay, you're not paying attention. You don't care, which is fine. But I would rather you ignore me. Like, I would rather you not respond to me at all than respond to me asking questions that I already answered in the message that I just sent you. And it's like, it drives me insane with my small group because I constantly send them the schedule to say like, this is when we're meeting. It's like literally like March 2nd meeting, March 9, 16, 23, no meeting. March 30, meeting. It's like very detailed, very laid out. And every single Saturday I get emails that people have joined my Zoom meeting and are in the waiting room. And then I have to text them like, hey, I see you joined the Zoom. We're not meeting today. Please look at the schedule. And it just makes me feel like nobody listens to me. Like, nobody cares about anything that I'm saying because I'm sitting here like, why am I sending you emails and texts and giving you information if you're not reading it? And like, what is it about me that's so irritating to listen to that you don't want to hear it, that you won't listen to it? And it's like, if you don't have time, then you don't have time. But also, like, I make the time for the people that I love. Like, I am going to be up until 2:00 in the morning working today because I have spent 6 hours on the phone today with different people with my church because multiple people have died this week, and there's a lot going on, and a lot of people need support. A lot of people need me. And so where I was today, I was like, supporting this person right now is more pressing than getting this piece of the project out the door, because I can do that whenever. And I'm happy that my job is flexible and I work from home. Like, I'm happy that I'm able to do that. I'm happy that I have the ability. I am happy that I can provide that support and that people are happy to get that support from me. I'm happy that people know that they can come to me for that support. I just wish at the same time that there were more people that I could go to for it, because Cameron can only do so much. And he is one person, and I just like, I can't take all of his time and all of his energy. Like, I can't use all of it. And so it's just, I don't know, like, it's one of those things that's so frustrating. So I did ask one of my friends, like, earlier today. I said, like, let's have a conversation about, like, what is it that you need from me? Like, what do you feel like I do well as a friend, and what do you feel like I could improve on? And really, like, it was interesting because she responded by saying, like, hey, I think we should go on the trip first because this might be like a heavier conversation and I want to keep things light and happy. Which I'm just like, girl, I ain't been light and happy since y'all started ignoring my emails in January. So, like, I'm going to be light and happy when I get to Disney because I'm going to be at Disney and I'm going to look at Mickey and I'm going to ride rides and have a great time, whether you're with me or not. But that response to me says that, like, I think you're a terrible friend, or we shouldn't be friends, and, like, we already paid for this trip and we're going, so let's just go on the trip and, like, be fake, and then we can break up after, which is just stupid to me. Like, I don't want to do that. But again, like, that's just how I'm receiving it. That's not the words that actually came out of her mouth. So I think that at the end of the day, though, I am very much like, let's just go there. Like, let's just hash it out. Let's just be deep. Like, when people say, like, the secret to a good marriage is, like, never go to bed angry. Like, I am that girl that I will stay up for 3 straight days hashing out a problem with a man that I love. I am like, I will not close these eyeballs until you understand me. And oh my gosh, that makes me miss, like, dude in Chicago so much. A couple of years ago, I dated this guy that lived in Chicago, and he was a rock star at, like, at those late nights of misunderstandings. It was like any time that we had, like, a little disagreement, like, he would say something and I would feel some type of way, and he'd just be like, I don't understand, like, why you're upset with me. And I'd explain it to him and he'd be like, okay, I see how you interpreted what I said or what I did, and I understand that upset you, and I absolutely apologize for that. That was not my intent at all. And he's like, here's what I was trying to say to you, though. And I'm like, but why did you use those words and those actions to try to convey that? That doesn't make any sense. And, like, we would just, like, go back and forth, and he was so calm and so sweet. And we would just be, like, laying there, like fighting sleep. And I'd just get to a point where I'd be like, you know what? It's fine. Like, I'm not mad at you anymore. Like, let's just go to sleep. And he's like, you're not mad at me anymore, but you still don't understand. And, like, I want you to understand. So, like, let's keep working. And, like, oh my gosh, he was lovely. Um, so lovely. Okay. Anyways, I am the friend that I am like, let's just hash it out. Like, let's just go there. And I am just like, also, like, I don't, if you tell me that you don't want to be my friend anymore, like, okay, I'll still go to Disney with you. Like, I'll go to Disney with anyone. Um, but it's also like Disney is a very big place. Like, we don't have to see each other. We don't have to spend time together. We don't have to hang out. But at the same time, I can also like, I think people are scared of hard conversations because us breaking up is not necessarily the outcome, you know? It's like maybe we just don't see eye to eye. Like maybe the conversation is she gives me a list of things that she thinks I could do better as a friend, and I say I'm not willing to do those, and I give her a list of things where I'm like, I feel like you're a terrible friend and here's what you should like, here's what I need from you, and she's like, I can't provide those needs. And then we're like, okay, so our friendship has shifted. Like we need to move to more like social media friends. Like we're not each other's person. We're not like that deep person, you know? It's just like people come and go in seasons. Like people have different roles in different seasons. And I think that's part of why like I invited the specific people on this trip that I invited, because some of them were more significant to me in previous seasons. Like they were my people, like they were the people that I went to all the time and that I talked to every day. And so I invited people that have shifted out of that role and people that are in the process of shifting into that role, because at the end of the day, I still consider all of them friends. Like we don't have to be like the best, closest. We don't have to be each other's everything, you know? And it's just like one season in your life, you go to that person for it. And this season in your life, that person's not doing it for you. Now you go to this person, and you might go to that person again in the future, but just because you're not going to them now, like it's still not a big deal. And I just feel like so many people are like, go to that immediate, like, oh my God, we're going to break up and it's going to be terrible and we're never going to speak again. Which like, okay, maybe that happens, but if that does happen, you won't die. But maybe it doesn't happen. Most of the time it doesn't happen. Like I feel like people are so scared of hard conversations because it makes them feel like the world is going to end. And really and truly, like I was going to say 100% of the time, but I don't, in case that doesn't work out for you guys, let me say like 90% of the time, I feel like when I have a hard conversation, at the end of it, it's just like a sigh of relief. Like it's a deep breath. It's like oh, that wasn't so bad. It's kind of like when you get really, really anxious about you're like 15 years old and you get really anxious about your first kiss and you're like, what if I do it wrong? And I don't like, what if we bang foreheads together? Like, how do I turn, it's like you freak out for days and days and days. And then like you finally have your first kiss and you're like, that was it. Like, that's what I was freaking out about. I feel like that is most hard conversations. I didn't even intro to the segment of hard conversation of the week, but there it was. I just gave it to you. But yeah, so I just kind of, the idea of like, let's put this off until after the trip bothers me, because I would just worry about it now for the next 2 weeks until the trip is over. And then if the conversation is like, let's not be friends anymore, I'm like, would have rather done that 2 weeks ago. And if the conversation is not that, and it's just some little like, all right, agree to disagree, move on, no big deal, then I'm like, I also would have rather done that 2 weeks ago, because we could have avoided the 2 weeks of like stress and anxiety like leading up to it. But you know what? And I did respond to her, and I said like, I'm not worried about it being a heavy conversation or a hard conversation or deep or whatever. But I do respect where you're coming from. So like, it's not so important to me that I'm going to push it. Like if she wants to wait till after the trip, we'll wait till after the trip, which, you know, it's the same thing as like breakfast at my birthday. It's like, I'm not going to force you to go. I don't like it, but you're an adult. You make your decisions. You know, it's just one of those things where like, if you need to have a hard conversation with someone, please just go and do it. Like, I promise you will feel better after it. It's usually like the working yourself up with anxiety is usually the painful part. It's like while you're worrying about what to say and how to say it, and you're reviewing it in your head over and over and over, and you're just like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Like, that's the part that like is panic attacky. But like the conversation in itself, like most people appreciate hearing how you feel and hearing how they affect you. And I will say there are people that don't have the emotional intelligence to handle it, but usually those people, like, they just won't be able to have the conversation, but they're not usually gonna like blow up at you and freak out. It's like they either will escape the conversation. It'll be like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And they'll pivot to something else, or they'll run away, or they'll say like, okay, I hear you. And then that's all they're going to say. Like they're not going to really offer anything in return. But if they do have the emotional intelligence to have an intellectual conversation, it's really really fulfilling. Like it's so fulfilling, and you grow and they grow, and you know, it's just like nice to be in that place, to be like able to do that with people. You know, it's like, let's just not even worry. It's like that's kind of where I am with dating right now too. Like I told you guys last week about the DJ for my parents' party that was inappropriate with me. Like in the past, I would have gone off on that man to be like, how dare you say this to me the day after I met you, you know? But I just said, hey, this ain't it. Like, no worries. And he was like, all right, bye. You know? And it's just like, that's the end. Like, I'm not mad at him for not working out. And it's the same way with friends. It's like, if we're for each other, let's be for each other. And if we're not, then let's not. It doesn't have to be like an explosion. Like it doesn't have to be an end of the world sorrow. Like it's just like, all right, if you're not for me, great. Let me get some time back and go give it to someone that is for me. You know, it's just stressful of trying to figure out like, okay, who are the people that are for me? Because if I only have the one, then I'm in trouble. And that's just really stressful. But anyways, this episode is getting real long, and I now need to go through and edit and cut a lot of this down. So I don't have a movie rec. I think the last movie I watched was Descendants 3. And so I'm having one of my friends watch like all the Disney stuff that she's never seen, and she had never seen Descendants. So I just showed her all 3 of those movies. And while the music continues to slap, this is the first time I like really like analyzed the story of Descendants, and it doesn't make any sense. It's absolutely absurd, especially the second one. The third one is the best story-wise, but it's like complete nonsense. I'm like, Disney, come on, you can do better. I made it to I'm halfway through season 13 of Grey's, so I am still going strong. Actually, I shouldn't say going strong. I'm going kind of weak now. I dislike most of the characters, so every day I'm like, do I even want to continue? Do I even care? I definitely see why everybody quit in the seasons like 9 through 12. Like I had a couple people message me on Instagram to say like, yeah, you're a trooper. I don't know how you're continuing, like Godspeed. But I do still love it. I do still love Grey's, but it's definitely not my favorite show anymore. I'm just like, we hit a downhill slump. So hopefully I like some of the new characters that are coming in soon. Hopefully they give it life. But in any case, Bridgerton returns in May, and that's all we need in life. I'm not here to sugarcoat, life's already a bumpy road. Too much shelter causes pain. Let's just be real honest. Things are gonna knock you down. Avoidance